The humanitarian situation in Gaza has been a top-of-mind concern for much of the international community. The images that you see coming out of Gaza, those struggling to get food, getting by with what they have. There has always been a big question as to exactly why are those needed essentials not getting into the hands of those who are hurting the most. Our News Nation team got an up-close look at some of these aid operations.
This is us. They should definitely be in London or somewhere, Rome, anywhere.
So right now we're in an armored vehicle. We just crossed into Gaza. We're currently heading to one of the main aid distribution sites, which is in the southern portion of the enclave, to get an up-close look at these operations as they take place.
يا طلال الكرتونه زين يحط الكرتونه هذا صفت له كرتون
What we have here is a standard issue GHF box, and this is what you could find inside. You have flour, salt, cooking oil, tahini, milk, sugar, pasta, chickpeas, and lentils, all of that meant to feed a family of 5 to 6, 3 meals a day for 3.5 days. You see women leaving here with onions, potatoes, other forms of produce. Those produce items are given to the women specifically, used for cooking, for feeding multiple people here. And these are some of the most sought after commodities here inside of Gaza.
We've been in operation for 4 months. We have distributed over 181 million meals directly into the hands of the Gazans, just as you see here. Today, we're in the middle of the second part of a 3-part distribution. The beginning part was our general distribution, where we open the gates, people come in, they take their boxes, and they go home. That has now become 95% men, because right after, we're in the middle, we're at the tail end of now, is a women's distribution, where we serve anywhere from 6,000 to 12,000 women on site. Today we have had approximately 8,000 women. They're getting handed a sack of vegetables and ready-to-use supplemental food, which is children's nutrition, directly into their hands. It's really a sight to behold. They have all lined themselves up. They've organized themselves. We are able to do these kind of distributions because of the trust that we've built up over the last 4 months. We now are consistent. We communicate. And we have an ongoing dialogue with the aid seekers to make sure they're getting what they want and what they need. Our humanitarians have focus groups, and we wouldn't be able to do this today. We wouldn't be able to stand here in the humanitarian zone with all these aid seekers if we hadn't had that consistency and trust built up over the last 4 months. After all of these women have been handed aid directly, we have just over there at least a couple hundred to 1,000 men, elderly and disabled men, who also might have been left behind during the first part of the distribution. So we now do a special distribution for them too. So in about an hour or two, we'll have fed between 12 and 18,000 people today at this one site, SDS2.
So historically speaking, Hamas has used controlling aid distribution as a means of controlling the Gaza Strip. What has that been like since your operations began?
Sure. So our mission at GHF is to feed people in a way that Hamas or anyone else cannot steal, divert, or loot our aid. We have had zero diversion. We put our aid directly into the hands of the Gazans who need it. There is an ongoing Hamas threat. You'll see that our sites are run by from a dozen to 20 local workers, local Gazans at each site. They now cover their faces and they live on site. because of the Hamas threat to them and their families. Another unique part of our model is that we do not do bulk distribution. We were having discussions about integrating that in the future, but we prepare our aid into individual boxes. They have the same or exceed the nutritional contents of the UN aid or standards and international NGO standards. There's 42,500 kcals in it. It's 2,200 calories a day per person. It's enough food to feed a family of 5.5 for 3 days, 3 meals a day for 3.5 days. And one of the benefits of this, other than meals and feeding families, is that if Hamas wanted to steal this en masse to either starve their own people or to sell it or to hoard or feed themselves, they would have to just take thousands of boxes off of thousands of people a day, and just logistically they're unable to do that. So that's another reason among many that that Hamas is having trouble interdicting or interfering with our work. However, there is a Hamas threat. That's why we have security personnel who make sure that everyone on site is safe.
Yeah, that was going to be my next question. One of the criticisms of your group has been the use of security contractors with high-powered military-grade weapons at a humanitarian aid distribution site. Is that level of lethal force necessary to carry out an operation like this?
So this is one of the, if not the most complex humanitarian crises of our lifetime, and it's happening in an active war zone. Our security personnel are highly trained, highly skilled, more importantly, highly intelligent, and primarily U.S. Special Forces, elite United States military veterans. They are not here because they know how to pull a trigger. They're here because they know when not to. One of the Hamas threats actually is being baited into shooting into a crowd or into innocents. One of the Hamas threats is there's IED outside a site months ago on the path that the Gazans take. So obviously Hamas was trying to kill their own people to cause a problem. We have never fired weapons, lethal weapons, at our crowd of aid seekers. We have used to use in the past non-lethal methods to control crowds, to keep it safe. Crowds are one of the most dangerous parts of this operation for the aid seekers themselves. But now, as you can see today, you've been here all day, there are none of those methods being used. The aid seekers are organizing themselves. It's orderly, it's dignified, it's humane. We are living the humanitarian four principles out here today, and we would not be able to do that if not for the trust we have built up with the aid seekers over the last 4 months. But we also would not be able to do that if we did not have security personnel making sure everyone is safe coming into and out of our sites.
Another point of criticism of your group, we've heard it from NGOs, we've heard it from some American allies, that they don't believe that you all can act independently, that you can be efficient in delivering aid across the enclave and doing it safely. What do you say to that international criticism?
We are the only aid organization currently in Gaza able to deliver food effectively, safely, and at scale. You can see other INGOs and members of the international humanitarian community having operational challenges. We also have operational challenges, but GHF doesn't pretend there's only one way. We have to stop pretending there's only one way to feed the people of Gaza. We innovate every single day. I just explained how we're having a women's distribution, after a general distribution. We're going to do an elderly men's distribution later. We have pilot programs. We're delivering potatoes today. We've delivered onions. We are working on community distribution, where 490 local NGOs in Gaza have reached out to us to distribute food, and we are working on implementing that. We also have an open invitation to collaborate with the United Nations. We have had meetings at a high level back in New York with our leadership and their leadership. We are cautiously optimistic that collaboration could happen. They have unlimited supply of food. We have a system that's working. Imagine how many people we could feed if we work together.
The biggest concern when it comes to getting food into the hands of Gazans is in the north. You're not operating in the north. Why is that?
That's right. The need is definitely more acute in the north. The IDF's offensive in the north over the last few weeks is obviously a problem for the environment up there, making a dynamic environment. We were originally envisioned to have 8 sites all across Gaza. The IDF has only created the humanitarian zones here and allowed us to have these 4 sites, one of which is being rebuilt into a super site so we can get to a continuous distribution model and feed more people. That should be coming online in the next few weeks. But GHF was never meant to solve this problem alone, and we cannot solve this problem alone. We are meant to be one small part in a very complex solution to a complicated problem in a war zone. So we would love to work with other NGOs. In fact, a couple of weeks ago, over 200 INGOs from over 15 countries issued a public letter to the United Nations calling on them to collaborate. In recent weeks, the United Nations has said that our models could coexist. So we are very optimistic that at some point over the next few weeks, particularly as the ceasefire negotiations continue, that we can work out a plan to deliver more food to more people. Again, if we all work together, we're all here supposedly so they claim to feed people. If we work together, imagine how many more people we could feed. We could be open all day and we could feed many more people and continue to lessen the pressure down here in the south. But to your original point, yes, we are not operational in the north. Other international INGOs in the UN are trying to operate in the north and having limited success. So we stand ready, willing, and able to expand. And when we get some more direction from the United States government and through the ceasefire talks, we are ready, willing, and able to open up more sites and to distribute more food to more people.
Are you prepared for the possibility that as these negotiations take place in Egypt, you all and your operations could potentially be dealt away in lieu of some of the other aid groups that operate here?
So GHF is in favor of more aid into Gaza, no matter how it gets there, whether it's us, whether it's the United Nations. Back during the blockade, when we were approved by the government of Israel to start operating, we called publicly and hard for Israel to approve the United Nations to operate too, which they did. So we are glad that more food is getting in. It would be disappointing for the people here on site today and the tens of thousands of Gazans at each site that we serve to stop distributing food here. The United Nations is having trouble, like I said, operationally getting the food to where they needed to go. In the month of August alone, they had almost 94% of their trucks diverted by their own metrics on their own website. We have had none of those problems. Like I said, everyone's having logistical problems. We overcome ours with the aid seekers in mind to make sure that this is done in an orderly, dignified manner. If we are dealt away, it would be a real shame because we are the only organization currently operating in Gaza able to feed people safely, efficiently, and at scale.
You know, there's a lot of political noise surrounding Gaza right now, with a lot of finger pointing going in different directions. From your position on the ground, are people starving in Gaza?
Well, you summed it up right. That's for the politicians to discuss and debate the words and the descriptions. We are not seeing the acute hunger here in the south of the people that we serve that they are seeing in the north. And again, we are not operating there. We are not seeing the mass starvation. The people that we are serving over the last 4 months are having better health outcomes. They are getting less hungry. However, these are certainly desperate, hungry people who are telling us that they rely on our boxes and our food to survive and to feed their family. And if we weren't here, they would be struggling to feed themselves. These are people who are living in a war zone, fighting for their lives, but they can come here to the Americans to get food, and they really rely on us to do that. So certainly there's a desperation. Certainly these people need help, and that's why we are here. But there is not that kind of acute starvation that you're hearing about, which again may be happening in the north where we are not operating. That's why we push the government of Israel every single day to have the IDF clear more humanitarian zones. GHF is pro-ceasefire. We very much hope a ceasefire comes out of these talks very quickly. It will make life safer for everyone, but especially the aid seekers themselves, which of course is what everyone's goal is. But yeah, we are seeing better health outcomes where we are operating. We've been here for 4 months. Many of the people we see here come every single day or every other day to feed their families, and they really come to rely on our operation. So it would be disappointing for the people of Gaza and for all the little kids behind me who rely on us to get fed every day.
We hate Hamas and Israel, by the way.
What was that?
We hate Hamas and Israel. I hate Hamas and Israel.
Yes,
Yes.
we hate
Hate-
Hamas and Israel.
Yeah.
You hate Hamas and Israel.
This country.
أنا هيك حماس وإسرائيل.
Both out.
Yeah.
Both out.
Yeah, I wanna out.
Can you come forward just a little bit as well?
إيه يا بنات.
So what were you saying? So you said you hate Israel. What do you think of Hamas?
I don't know, but I hate Hamas so much because Hamas.
Damage in my home.
Uh,
Damage in my home.
I don't know, not safe in this country because بسبب حماس يعني because Hamas. You understand?
Yes, because of Hamas, it's not safe here.
Yeah.
Hamas and
Yeah.
Israel my damage in home يعني damage my home and land Gaza everywhere
And,
damage everywhere in Gaza and I'm not I don't feel safe in my home in Gaza.
Yeah.
بعت لي اياها ها
For many of the Arab countries around the region, they view the humanitarian situation in Gaza as a top priority, solving that, getting food into the hands of people who need it most. Some of these people here telling us that they have been going hungry. Have your people been starving? Have they had enough to eat over the last 2 years?
We don't have eat.
Nothing.
Yeah. We don't have. I said
Yeah.
before. We don't have a chicken and fruits and another vegetables. Yes.
Yes. Not enough to eat.
Yes.
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 What about this? Is this helping?
This
Yes.
potato and
onions
Yeah.
يعني onions first. Potato and onions just.
Yes.
Yeah.
we need a fruit
We need
lion banana avocado
We need
lemonade,
Yeah.
we need more eating.
More eating.
Yes.
Indomie